when it comes to the law, when it comes to the legal practice in the country. And we are looking forward for this forum today being a very educative one. We would appreciate if each one of you would have a lot of openness, feel free to ask questions, because it is forums like this, it is networking like this that will help guide and grow the legal sector in the country. So the LawCon 2021 will be a full-day program, and its major three goals is to build awareness of the challenges facing law firms in Tanzania and how best together we can come up with solutions in helping the young lawyers, helping the lawyers in the country, but also use this forum as a network for our growth, our network for our business. Objectives will be to discuss and navigate things that are faced by most legal firms. And we will be having 2 moderators in the house today who will be introduced to you as before each one of them comes. And yes, as the day is blossoming, not to waste much of your time, I would like to welcome our partner, Mr. Tanzania'S, to come and officially open the forum.
And we have some very please give us a few words and open the thank you.
I have to apology. I've prepared my speech in Kiswahili.
That's good.
I understand everybody know and speak Swahili. Now I'll proceed. Ndugu waandaji wa mkutano huu, mawakili wasomi, senior advocates mliopo, na wale wote ambao mpo kwenye mchakato au tayari mmefungua law firm zenu, mabibi na mabwana, na wasalimu wote. Mimi jina langu ni John Samuel Mbeta, ni jaji mahakama kuu masijala kuu Dar es Salaam. Nimepewa fursa hii ya kuja kufungua kikao hiki muhimu sana kwa wadau wa sheria. Nawashukuru sana Stanley Attorneys kwa kubuni na kuandaa semina mahususi kama hii. Pia ninawashukuru senior members kukubali kufika na kushirikiana pamoja kujenga uwezo wa junior advocates, na pia kushirikiana changamoto mbalimbali zinazojitokeza katika utendaji kazi wenu. Kazi niliyopewa na niliyoombwa kufanya siku ya leo ni si kutoa hotuba, bali kufungua mkutano huu. Naomba niseme jambo moja muhimu kabla ya kufungua mkutano huu. Nyie mawakili mmebeba jukumu kubwa sana la kuwa maafisa wa mahakama. Kwa kofia hii au jukumu hili, inapasa mtambue kuwa ninyi nyote mlioko hapa na ambao wako nje na ambao wanatusikiliza, mnapaswa kufanya kazi zenu kwa weledi mkubwa ili kulinda heshima ya mahakama na vile vile kulinda heshima na hadhi yenu kama mawakili. na pia jamii ambayo imetuzunguka, jamii ya Watanzania na vile na jamii ya zilizoko nje ya Tanzania, hususan kwa clients wenu, kwa wateja wenu. Hilo ndo jambo nilipaswa kulisema kabla sijafungua mkutano huu. Na mnapoanza na kuendelea na kikao chenu, ningefurahi sana swala la integrity of practicing advocates lipewe kipaumbele, kwani ninyi mmebeba picha au taswira ya mahakama na heshima yenu kama mawakili. Baada ya kusema hayo machache, naomba sasa nitamke kuwa mkutano wa kwanza wa mawakili kuzungumzia changamoto na njia mbadala za kutatua changamoto hizo umefunguliwa rasmi. Nawatakieni mjadala mwema na pia mazungumzo mema yenye tija. Nawatakieni nyote kila la heri. Mungu ibariki Tanzania, Mungu ibariki Afrika, Mungu bariki mkutano huu. Asanteni kusikiliza.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Judge Ugeta. Yes, so our forum has officially been started. I would like to introduce our morning moderator, Mr. Noel Shio, who will introduce our first speaker for the morning. Mr. Noel, karibu.
Asante sana, Glory. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Noel Shio. I'll be your moderator for this morning. My first task is to introduce our first speaker. Unfortunately, we could not have Dr. Rico Tenga as promised. So instead, Shazada is going to fill in the shoes. Very, very big shoes, Shazada. So Shazada is a partner of Starlet Attorneys and the chairman of Conscience for Humanity, Mwanza. He is CDR related and also serves as a mediator at the Smiley Conciliation and Arbitration Board. He specializes in dispute resolution, which includes litigation and alternative dispute resolution, real estate laws, intellectual property law, and investment laws. So Shazada, karibu for the first presentation.
Good morning, everyone. As Noah mentioned, big shoes. Unfortunately, Dr. Ringo Tenga could not be here today. He was having he told me. So when the topic is now that yeah. Sure. No. I'm going to show you is the law firm. Very interesting one because in this room is a lawyer, or is working with or a practice manager in one way or the other. So I'm going to give you a brief layout of what is a law firm. Obviously, go for is the legal team, the law practices, and the law firm departments. The legal team normally comprises of attorneys, partners, shareholders, managing partners, associates, consultants, interns. Law firms also need to possess legal assistants, legal officers, litigation assistants, freelancers, assistants, paralegals. But also, the core of the law firm depends upon our secretaries. These could be legal secretaries. Some have word processors. Some have receptionists. But also, a librarian is very important. We have clerks, which are categorized into file clerks, calendar clerks, copy clerks, mail clerks, library clerks, and messengers. And then we have specialists in law firms, who are the office or practice managers, the IT specialists, we have the accountants, we have records managers, and then we have administrators, who are the chief financial officers, human resource managers, marketing directors, and then we have others, and the list could be long, but some prefer using investigators, team. So the team at any law firm, and you might reflect on the law firm you're at or the law firm you do have these key personnel in your law firm. And then we have the types or some law firms are as limited liability companies. And the biggest question always comes up is this allowed? Is this permitted or not? The best answer to this is there is no law that says it's not permitted. So if it's not permitted, there is no law saying it's not permitted, automatically it's allowed. And it's one of the most, I would say, best structured entities. The only reason the authority is because of the professional indemnities. The company is protected by a corporate veil, which means that if anything goes wrong, so this was one of the main I've decided to also add legal aids, but in my opinion, they are contributing quite a lot to the society, the communities around, and our country. And almost every year I see that are performing functions, and sometimes even better and more structured and so we have to commend them for doing the job. I was very interested when I heard that the Director for Quality Assurance from the Solicitor General's Chamber is Ms. Mercy, because that is something that we need to commend the Solicitor General Assurance Director, who makes sure that the services provided are of a top level. So thank you very much for being here. Law firm departments that are real estate, immigration, litigation, investment law, intellectual property law. So to be very honest, that's a very big challenge we have in Tanzania. We hardly have specialist lawyers in Tanzania. And so perhaps out of this conference we can get a better idea of what a specialist lawyer could be, and perhaps we could start focusing on that as well, because most of us, because we have been nurtured in that way, that we do corporate law, and then at the same time, once you've sorted drafting your umbrella documents, then you're rushing to court. And I believe that's not the best practice, but in Tanzania, we sort of have it, and maybe we could discuss that challenge as well. We then have, in any law firm, legal administration and technology. So I wanted to share with you the difference between practice management and administrative management. So a lot of people confuse these things, but in reality, the practice management is basically the choice of how the office will practice law and handle cases. That is the practice management part of a law firm. And then we have the administrative part of the law firm that says on how the operating or managing of a law office, which includes the financials, the employees, etc. So functions of a legal administration, and this is something, again, food for thought for those of you who are running law firms or who are looking forward to run law firms, is basically they look at and they control the leadership, they control the major decision makings, they do the financial management, the HR management falls under this, the marketing management, organization of the firm, policies and systems are developed through them, the facilities management, so your offices, your washrooms, your IT office, your library, etc. Office services management, and obviously technology management. A lot of law firms are using different types of technologies to run them on their different platforms, softwares, etc. And then the functions of the practice management now is the decisions. So what areas do you really want to focus on? Are you a specialized law firm, or are you the jack of all trades law firm, or a fully fledged law firm that does all practice areas? Practice systems, what do you use? Do you use certain types of documents? I've seen a lot of law firms using very interesting, creative documents, files. Some love to color code their files. So this is all included in the practice management. The IT system, the communication system. For example, we at Stallion Attorneys, we use Office 365. So we use a lot of Teams, but also a lot of law firms like to use WhatsApp and links and so on. Quality management or assurance, this is basically done by the practice management part of the law firms. We then have the law firms that need to be very, very careful about the ethics and malpractice. So this includes the professional conduct and etiquette set for lawyers by the law. So the laws that govern us, you need to be aware of these as a law firm. You also need to be aware of competence and diligence at the law firms, confidentiality and attorney-client privilege. We always need to check for conflict of interests whenever we're taking up any work. And basically, what is malpractice? It's when an attorney or a law office conduct in representing a client falls below the standard skill, prudence, and diligence that an ordinary lawyer would possess, or that is commonly available in the legal community. So that one thing that a lawyer could have done so easily, and then your law office or you as a lawyer has failed to do it. When I was thinking about it, I was actually thinking about those times when you have a deadline to file a document in court and then you don't. And then a lot of people like to file for extension of times. That could at times lead to malpractice because your application could be struck out, your case could be dismissed based on not filing your documents on time. So clients can come and sue us for malpractice, and this is something we really need to be aware of. And then professional indemnity. I've noticed that a lot of law firms are not having professional indemnity, but I must say that this is the core of any law firm. You'd rather not invest in having desks and chairs and just put your money for professional indemnity, so that if one day you are sued for malpractice or for any ethical issue, this will cover you. Another thing that law firms really need to be aware of, and lawyers aspiring to have law firms or practice sole proprietorships, is client relations and communication skills. We must always have a know your client form or a document before you engage a client. This is very important for you to send out to the prospective client or so, especially at the moment where we have the anti-money laundering laws right at our back, where you could literally be sued for a criminal act just because your client probably brought in some money that was not supposed to be in your account or is an unidentified source. Active listening skills. One of the biggest challenges I've faced with times, especially those who we train, is they do not listen. And listening is something different, and then there's active listening, where you're actually paying attention and understanding what your client needs. A lot of clients want to be felt heard. You know, a lot of times I tell people around me that clients sometimes take us as therapists, because you could literally sit with a client for an hour and all he's talking about is how terrible his life is. And at the end, 5 minutes, the final 5 minutes is when he'll tell you that, you know, this is my actual problem. And then, of course, what follows is a discount on the fees. So active listening is very important. Be proactive as a law firm, as a lawyer. This is something that, again, I've seen that has been a very big challenge in our jurisdiction, where lawyers do not want to go the extra mile to do something for a client. You always want to do exactly what you're told, but also clients want results. They want things done on a timely manner, and for this, law firms and lawyers need to be very proactive to be able to service the client in the best possible manner. Return phone calls and emails. This is actually, along with feedbacks and updates, a very serious ethical issue. I always talk to lawyers and my trainees and associates of the law firms that not returning a phone call or not responding to an email on time is actually considered as an ethical issue, because this is the person or the company that actually pays you. This is the person that makes sure you survive and have 3 meals a day and pay your rent, etc. So it is very, very important for you to return their phone calls and at least appreciate that all they want to know is their case going well? Is their work completed? And sometimes no feedback is also feedback. That's what I tell people. That you don't have a feedback, just tell the client, I'm sorry, but it seems like the BRELA system is down today. And you'll see how peaceful your client will be. But a lot of us try to wait, and then we say, oh, you know, after 2 weeks, you know that couldn't happen because the BRELA system was down. So some clients could get a heart attack waiting for you for 2 weeks. So I keep repeating this, that this is actually an ethical issue. Communication skills, that's pretty much on first year, first class. I remember communication skills is what we're always taught. You know, write your emails properly, address your client in a respectable manner, be honest. One of the things that I've always been taught growing up as a lawyer and wanting to practice law from different seniors was just be honest. Tell the client you don't have a good case, perhaps, or this is not possible. But a lot of us take up work in our law firms, in our capacities, and we don't tell the client that this is something that has a challenge or there'll be challenges in these things. And then as time goes, after 6 months, 8 months, you come and tell the client that, oh, actually, you know, we couldn't win this case, or we couldn't basically get this application sorted, or this contract couldn't be endorsed, etc. But we need to be honest. Seek client approval. A lot of times we do things without seeking client approval. We go ahead and do whatever we want to do. 3 months later, the client is asking you, why did you do this? And you say, oh, because I'm the lawyer. But at times, the client just wants to know that this document you're filing, is it something that's, you know, beneficial to him? Especially things like letters you're writing to authorities. Sometimes even when you're filing a case, it's good to ask the client, can you just read once? Do you think I've covered everything that you really are asking for in court? And this would really help you build a good client relationship. Be professional and courteous. As always, lawyers, we're from a noble profession. We always need to make sure that we're acting in the best professional manner and we're giving the courtesies to our clients. And I always say to people in my firm as well, that a client is not only that person that walks in from the door to give you a business, but even your partner is your client. Even your kitchen lady is your client. How you treat these people really determines on your success. Even your administrator is your client. You're always each other's clients. Inter-departments, you're still clients of each other. The corporate department is giving you litigation. That means the corporate department topic actually could take an entire day. It's actually a course, so I'm just running through it with the brief points. Legal fees and billings. A lot of lawyers you know, tend to worry and wonder, what does it entail to bill? How do I bill? What's the right fee? But in reality, if you're organized, you will be able to bill well. So legal fee arrangements can be hourly, contingency fees, which means upon winning, or percentages, which is kind of discouraged in Tanzania. We have flat fees, we have retainer fees, we have consultation fees. A lot of clients at the moment, these days, especially with the COVID-19, and this is not only Tanzania, but globally, prefer flat fees. And this is due to the challenges faced in hourly billings, because a lot of law firms are very good at saying, we're gonna bill you $300 an hour, but don't even have the right systems to check and compute for those hours. So end of the year, you're telling somebody, I've done 100 hours for you, but you've not even been able to show how exactly did you perform those 100 hours. I know a lot of clients that come back and say, but what did you do? It took you 4 hours at Brella. How? It's a very difficult thing to explain. Only those who go to Brella understand. Retainer agreements or legal fee agreements. I always encourage lawyers and law firms to put up an agreement. Whether it's a legal fee agreement or it's just a retainer agreement, because that governs the relationship between you and your client. And a lot of times, lawyers just want to send fee notes. But when you as a lawyer then are representing a client in court, your first thing you ask the client is, so this guy hasn't paid you, do you have a contract? While you yourself as a lawyer haven't even given the client a contract. So let us be careful on having our contracts with our indemnities, our disclaimers, etc. Payment of withholding tax and other taxes. We have on the panel a very one of these senior audit accounting tax specialists called Muntazir Fazal. He will explain a bit more to you, but it's very important to make sure that 5% withholding tax are deducted. it's very important for you to lay down other taxes like VAT, etc. on your invoices. Otherwise, we know what the taxmen are capable of. Issuance of EFT receipts. A lot of lawyers and law firms do not want to or discourage this practice. But I have to share with you that this is something that has costed a lot of businesses and lawyers. We as a lawyer, as a law firm or as lawyers are also running a business. So there's no way you can escape from it. Disbursements and reimbursements. So a lot of people are confused between disbursements and reimbursements. So disbursements are those expenses that you've already billed for and are incurring on behalf of your client. So transport, photocopies, etc. Those are disbursements. So a lot of us tend to bill very low amounts in disbursements, and at the end of the year we realize we've actually spent more in disbursements than even the legal fee we charge. So you have to be very careful when you're analyzing your disbursements, that if this is the job I'm taking, how much will I spend on this client? But law firms that have a good financial capacity tend to have reimbursements. So they would go and incur all the costs on behalf of the client and then ask the client to reimburse. The only challenge with that is clients also have a problem in they have ethical issues also when they don't want to pay you, and they'll ask you, why did you make 10 photocopies? If you wanted to make a photocopy, you could have just called me. I would have sent somebody to your office, picked up the document and photocopied it for you and brought it back to you. So these are challenges that we are facing with clients as well. So that's the difference though between disbursements and reimbursements. And then of course the advocate remunerations law. I have been one of the people that have not been very happy with our remunerations laws, but it's a very safe area at times to rely upon when we're doing our business. A lot of times the client would say, why are you billing me, you know, $20,000 for a case? And then you tell them, look, you want to go to court and ask for $1 million, right? My advocate's remunerations tells me I need to charge you at least 3 to 4%. So now, can you do the math and tell me whether my fee is higher or lower? So a lot of times it's a good safe zone to be at, but sometimes it could be also a problem because we have some few fees that are very low. For example, we have application for petitions that the remunerations law would say you need to charge only 1.5 million shillings. Now my partner always tells me, Shizada, Nenda mahakamani, you're going to POs and all those things. Is 1.5 million shilling really enough? Does it cover the time you're spending? Well, again, but we need to be aware of these laws so that we can conduct our billing in the right manner. We then have the client funds and accounting for lawyers. So a brief difference between client funds. So client funds are categorized in client account, trust accounts, escrow accounts, where you could keep client funds, third-party funds, settlement funds, retainers that are not booked. So a lot of times we would say, look, just come and deposit 10 million shillings, and then as we do the work, we will deduct the money. Now, it's very important for us as a law firm to have a separate client account, not put all that money in one account. So avoid commingling of client accounts. A lot of times, what you can also do is say, let's assume Hayat is a Stallion client. You could go to the bank and say, look, I want to open a new account that says Stallion/Hayat. All the funds that belong to Hayat go into that account. And you can account for it properly, you can do all the expenses, you can deduct your legal fees from there. At the end of the day, when you're done with the assignment, you can then send a bank statement to Hayat and say, look, this is your bank statement, this is how we spent your money, this is what happened. Now you're left with, I don't know, $1,000, so we're now closing the account and we will charge you a bank charge on closure, and this will be your balance, and we can send it back to you. At that particular time, you are safe also in case anybody else comes to you, or even the TRA or the anti-money laundering unit comes to you and says, you know, how did you spend this person's money? You have an account. But a lot of us tend to mix things. We tend to say, okay, you want to do this assignment, fine, put the 10,000 in your account. At the end of the year, when the taxman looks at your audit books, they actually see $10,000 that were withdrawn, that were spent, and then they would say this is something that you made a profit on. So be aware of these, and I will obviously welcome questions later, and I'm sure Muntazir will help me with that as well. Budget and planning. It's very important for law firms to do. It's very important for you as a law firm to sit down and plan for the next year. In 2022, do this. We want to do that. We might have a law con coming up, and we might need, I don't know, $3,000 for a law con. Put it in your budget. If it's budgeted, you'll be able to account for it better. And it will also help you plan for the next year. How many employees can carry forward next year? How many employees are you retrenching? How many new employees do you want to hire? Put it in the budget. That will help you plan better and also give you visibility on the money you're making. Collection or income. So again, billings would look really good in the books at the moment. I'm sure most of you at the moment say, I've billed $100,000 and you're still in debt because you haven't collected. So it's very important to also keep track of what are you exactly collecting. So your billings, every month you need to review your billings and say, I've billed $5,000, I need to collect it now, and chase your client for the payments. Internal controls are very important. Who signs your checks? Who authorizes the checks? I'll give an example at Stallion Attorneys. We have a dedicated partner who only does financial issues. So without his approval and his signature, no money will go out. Despite perhaps me being the most senior lawyer at Stallion, at times he could tell me, Shahzada, we don't have money, so we're not paying for this. And I have to agree because he's taking care of the finances. So it's very important for you to have internal controls. Who is signing the checks? Who is actually approving checks? Who is making sure that our money is being spent the right way? And that will also give you a better financial transparency and exposure. And also at the end of the year, you can actually see what you've saved and what you have spent. But these also make decisions on who then can become the managing partner in future, because at times you could have a really bad financial partner who spends your money, and at the end of the year you're like, okay, where did we spend this money? So that's a challenge, I can tell you. And a lot of law firms do face these challenges where their partners just start withdrawing money and spending money, and at the end of the year you have a big loss. And your partner or the person in your office is driving a Range Rover and has an apartment of his own, and then you start questioning, and then you have issues and conflicts between partners. Use of softwares for accounting. I encourage law firms to use a particular software. No, we love the tallies and the Excel sheets and all, but we need to move forward. An investment that you need to make in is software. We have one of our sponsors today, iMatic. They specialize in software, so they'll give you a better idea. I believe we'll hear from Muntazir from